a full yoga practice with Swaati Mehra Ramcharan.
Okay, so whenever you're ready, join me with your on a mat or non-slip surface. We'll be starting with an asana practice. I keep a lot of blankets and towels nearby uh, for support, so you don't have to use all of that. But if you feel like it, feel free. So starting to settle in, laying on the ground, on your back. Taking a moment to allow your body to get settled. Allow your body to start relaxing on the ground. Giving your body time. Start to notice your breath. Start to take deeper breaths. Feel free to maybe place one hand on your chest, one hand on your lower belly. Closing your eyes and taking notice of how you're feeling today, how your body's feeling. Notice if you can allow your body to relax a little more onto the ground, letting go. Let go of your morning. Let go of the rest of your day. Bringing focus to the here and now. And when you're ready, bending at the knees, bringing feet flat on the ground. Let's start to bring a little tilt into the pelvis. So almost like you're peeling away your tailbone off the ground and then bringing it back down. So it's a very slight movement, keeping your hips on the ground, your rib cage, your back on the ground. So it's just a slight tilt of the pelvis, the tailbone peeling away from the ground and back down. We're just starting to bring movement into our pelvis. And relax your back on the ground, lifting your right leg, holding your right knee with your right hand. Let's start to make tiny circles with our knee. So making little circles, and it's your hand doing more of the movement, making more of this movement, less of your leg. So your hand is doing more of the work. Allow these circles to get a little bigger. And a little bigger. And bigger. And find the other direction. And bring that foot down. And now raising the left foot up, left hand to left knee. Start with small circles. So again, it's your hands making more of this movement. Doing most of the work. Allow the circles to get a little bigger. And a little bigger. And bigger. And find the other direction. And bring the foot down. With your feet about hip width apart, let's start to take the knees side to side in the windshield wiper movement. And feel free to play around with the space between your feet and the space between your heels and your hips. Play around, see what feels good or what you'd like to dig into a little more. And bringing your knees back to center, raising your arms up so the fingertips are pointing up, and now bending at the elbows so that hands are on opposite elbows. So you're creating this kind of rectangular window shape here that you can see through. We're going to add this to the windshield wiper movement. So with knees to one side, take the window to the opposite side. And then knees to the other side and window to the opposite side. So making a slight twisting movement here. And bringing your knees back to center, arms coming down to the ground to your side. And let's take the feet wide, arms back and wide. Taking a few deep breaths here, taking up space, opening up the chest. And when you're ready, roll onto your side. And taking a deep breath here. And when you're ready, slowly bringing yourself up to seated. So if you're in seated here with legs crossed, let's switch legs. So the one you usually bring on top, bring underneath, and the one that's usually underneath, bring that on top. Might feel really weird. Just tricking our brains a bit and also changing our habitual postures and movements, changing it up. Let's start to roll the shoulders back. Notice how your shoulders are feeling. And relax the shoulders and start to roll your neck all the way around in one direction, keeping the shoulders relaxed. Notice how your neck is feeling. And find the other direction. Again, keeping the shoulders relaxed. And bring head back to center. And with a lifted spine, so imagining a string being pulled through your spine, your neck, and up the top of your head. Let's tilt ear to shoulder. One side. And now bring your hand over your ear without needing to apply much pressure or weight. Release the hand, head back to center, other ear to other shoulder. So again, take notice of how your neck is feeling, how one side is feeling compared to the other. And bring your hand over your neck, or sorry, your ear. And release the head back to center. And let's give our jaws a little rub. So using your fingertips, rubbing all along your jawline. Maybe in a circular motion. For those who maybe grind their teeth at night, there's usually some tension there in the jaws. And there's actually a direct connection from our jaws to our pelvic floor. So if we're carrying tension in one, we're most likely carrying tension in the other. So it's nice to give yourself a little massage all along the jaws here. And release the hand and turning the head now side to side. Take your time if it's feeling too quick or if it's making you feel nauseous. And bring head back to center. We're going to come into tabletop. So feel free to keep this blanket under your knees for support and placing the weight on the pads of your fingers, your forefinger and your thumb, and less weight above your wrist. Spreading the fingers and bringing wrists below shoulders and knees below hips. And starting with cat-cow, inhale, shoulders back, shine the chest out. Drop your belly and really relax your belly, tailbone up. And exhale, round your back, crown of your head points to the ground. So let's flow with this, going at your own pace and really moving at the pace of your breath, moving with your breath. Finishing up the last one here. And coming back into tabletop, you start to move the hips side to side. So just taking the hips one side to the other. And now taking the hands out and maybe a little wider. You can play around with where your hands are once we start this. So we're going to start these circles, making circles with your rib cage. So imagine your rib cage is scraping the inside of a tunnel or it's like a butter knife scraping the inside of a peanut butter jar. So digging in here, allowing your elbows to bend, and then find the other direction. Coming back to tabletop here and coming down to forearms, so forearms on the ground. And let's start to make movements with our hips. So hips stay up, forearms down. Either this, like, play around here. Maybe your hips want to move side to side. Maybe they want to make circles, so almost like drawing circles with your hips. So kind of playing around, see what feels good. You can even make your knees a little wider, playing around with that. And then with forearms still down, starting a gliding, almost like a gliding movement where we're gliding forward and back, almost making this oval shape, like you're drawing an oval shape with your navel. So circular motions here. And now find the other direction. Okay, from here, bringing your hands back, curling the toes in, and walking your hands back so that your hips are now closer to your heels. Just giving the bottom of your feet a little stretch here. And if you'd like, you can use a few cushions or a bolster or not. I'll show you where we are here. So we're going to come back into tabletop with hands on the ground. And we're going to inhale, raising the right arm up. And on the exhale, either lowering your head down to the ground and needling your right hand under the left with palm facing up. So you can either bring your head down to the ground, side of your face on the ground, or you can do the same, but over a few pillows or cushions for height, or just rest your head on the pillow or cushion, whatever you feel like doing today. So side of your face is down, your right palm is facing up, and notice here where your hips are lying. If you're noticing that, are they wanting to lean to one side? Do you want to bring them to center? Take a few deep breaths here. And sliding the hand out back into tabletop. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, needle the left hand under the right, lowering your head down. Again, notice here where your hips are lying, if they're wanting to lean to one side, if you want to bring them to center. A few deep breaths here. And now coming back into tabletop. You can remove the pillows or cushions. You can remove the blanket you might have been using under you. And now taking the hands out, curling the toes in, coming into downward dog, or coming straight into standing, whatever feels good for you. Maybe you want 2 blocks under your hands or your feet. So lifting the knees up, pushing the hips back and out, slight bend in your knees. If you feel like you need to adjust, feel free. Maybe start to pedal your heels. Notice how it feels to gaze forward or let the head hang. And start to walk your feet towards your hands, slowly rolling into standing. Coming up into standing, feel free to roll your shoulders a bit. And we're just going to start to shake it out. Let's just shake it all off. Maybe shake your legs, shake your feet, your arms, your hands, and just letting go. Shake your hips. Look silly. Dance it out if you feel like it. Okay. And let's start to take the elbow, so the right elbow. Start to make circles with your right elbow. And release the arm down and left elbow. Now making circles. Okay. Release the left arm. Bringing the feet about hip width apart or a little wider. Let's start to make circles with our hips. And find the other direction. And coming back to standing, start to take the hips side to side. And then again, coming back into that tilting of the pelvis, so tilting the pelvis in and then back out, in and out. Slight bend in the knees. So when we do this motion, it gives us movement in our pelvic region, the back, but also when we come into standing and we say, we want to be in a lifted spine. If we say, lifted spine, imagining a thread through your spine, your neck, and out the top of your head, coming into this standing pose, just notice for a moment what this standing pose looks like for you. How does it feel? What do you notice? Do you notice maybe one side of your hips leaning? Are your hips maybe leaning to one side? Is one knee maybe coming out more than the other? Is the back maybe um, curling out? Or is your pelvis tucked in? Are your shoulders maybe slouched? Is your back rounded? So just taking notice of our posture. We'll be talking about pelvic health in a few weeks. And, so much of our pelvic health also is affected by our posture. So if we notice, what our posture looks like, even just in standing, we might notice a lot of things, or we might not notice anything at all, and that's okay too. Um, but one thing you can do is, so if you're trying to find like what is my ideal posture here, because if I stand here and I stiffen my back and maybe I curl my lower back out, um, this does not feel good. One way to maybe find the middle ground of your pelvis, it's just something to try out. May not be, you know, for you, but try this out and see how it feels. So if you rock the pelvis back and forward, so out and tucked in, out and tucked in, do that a few times, and then notice where the middle ground is for that. Where sorry, notice where the middle ground is. If you know the back and you know where the front goes, how far the back goes, can you find the middle? Tiny bend in your knees, and then come to standing. And that might be your ideal standing posture. It's something to play around with. Okay, from here, we're going to take the arms up, so bending at the elbows, palms facing forward, fingertips facing up. Maybe you want to bring your feet wide and elbows are at shoulder height. Take a few deep breaths here. Relax your shoulders. And actually, let's bring the feet in, and we're going to curl. So arms are wide here, elbows bent, and then we're going to curl in, tuck in the pelvis, round the back, and then inhale, open up. Exhale, curl in, inhale, open up. So flow with this, move with your breath. And now take the feet wider, and toes are maybe angling out a bit, bending at the knees. Sorry, you can't see my full body here. I'm not in my usual full body setup. So bending at the knees here, elbows bent. Take a few deep breaths here. And come back up to standing. If you can find a wall, we're just going to use the wall for a minute. So feel free to find a wall or a door that closes. And as long as you can hear me, maybe see me. So placing your right hand on the wall, and we've got about a foot or two between your body and the wall. And we're going to create this kind of flowy movement with the knee. So you're really planting your left foot into the ground and placing the weight into 4 points here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So placing your left foot into the ground, slight bend in the left knee, hand is on the wall, and raising the right knee. We're creating this kind of flowy movement here with the knee, maybe making this like infinity sign here with the knee. So you can even place your hand on a chair if you don't want to use a wall or don't have a wall to use right now. Okay, and bring the knee down. And then we'll do the same, but with the knee behind you. So there's no pretty, graceful way to do this. No right or wrong way either, but just kind of creating this, just a movement where you're taking the knee behind, side to side, just creating some movement in the joints. Okay, and place the knee down, the foot down. And let's do the same on the other side. So left hand on the wall or a chair, plant your right foot into the ground on the 4 points, slight bend in the knee, and start to raise your left knee and create kind of that infinity sign with your knee, like you're drawing the infinity sign. Side to side, flowy movement. And bring the foot down. Let's do the same, taking the knee back and just again flowing side to side or in circles, whatever feels good. And bring the foot down. Okay, when you're ready, we're going to make our way back down to the mat, placing a blanket or towel underneath. And this time we're going to laying on your belly, or you can lay on your back if that's not available to you today. So making sure if you're laying on your belly that your lower belly and your pelvis are resting on the blanket. And lowering your chest down, arms are stretched out, maybe forehead is on the ground. Take a few minutes here, take a few deep breaths. And when you're ready, we're going to raise our right arm up, kind of turning towards the right, turning up, bring it down, and then turning to the left, raising the left arm up. So creating the side to side, moving with the breath. And bring the arms down. And now grabbing a towel or a blanket. Oh, sorry, I should have. I'm going to keep that near you still. So I'm keeping a towel or a blanket beside my hips. And we're going to bend the right. So keeping that, if it's on the right side, bending the right leg out. So taking the right leg out over the blanket, on the blanket. Arms are still stretched out in front of you, forehead on the ground. Start to relax your head, relax your chest, relax your belly. Allow your hips to settle and relax. And take a few deep breaths here. And now bringing the right leg in. Take the blanket to the other side. This time, the left. This time, the left knee is bent over the towel or blanket. So left knee out. So it's almost like in a 90-degree angle. Arms are stretched out. Relax your forehead on the ground. Relax your chest. Relax your belly. Allow your hips to settle and relax. And take a few deep breaths here. And take the leg back in. Bringing the The hands closer, hands on ground, closer to the shoulders, lengthening the back here. So imagine your head is lengthened to the front, the tailbone lengthened to the back. And we're going to inhale here, exhale, lifting the shoulders and chest. Inhale back down, exhale up. So move with your own breath. And bringing your forehead down. Maybe your arms are back down, stretched out in front of you. And we're going to lift the feet up, bending the knees, lifting the feet up. And this time the feet are making that windshield wiper movement side to side. Feet don't necessarily need to touch the ground. Just getting that side to side motion. And bring the legs back down. And with your pelvis now, feeling your pelvis against the ground. Maybe your forehead is still resting on the ground, or you can rest your head on your side of your face down. We're going to move the hips side to side. So just a slight kind of wiggle of the hips side to side. So legs stay down. And when you're ready, slowly make your way onto your back, keeping everything near you, like cushions or pillows, bolster. Any layers coming onto your back here. And from here, bending at the knees, feet flat on the ground. We're going to move the hips to the left side of the mat. And bring the knees in towards the chest. Let them fall to the right. And arms are either bent in the cactus pose or stretched out in a T shape. And gaze to your left. Take a few deep breaths here. Really breathing into your side. Feeling the sides fill up. Turning the head back to center. Knees and hips back to center. And this time moving the hips to the right side of the mat. Knees in towards the chest, let them fall to the left, gazing to the right. Deep breaths into your sides again, filling up the sides. And bring your head back to center, knees and hips back to center. And hugging the knees in towards the chest. Maybe rotate your ankles. And we're going to go into Shavasana for a few minutes. So feel free to choose any restorative, nourishing, juicy pose that feels good for you right now in this moment. Feel free to put on layers. Really gift yourself this time. So feel free to sit at an incline or lay on your back or lay on your belly. Starting to settle in, allowing the body to start to relax. Relax your head. Allow your arms to relax to your sides. Relax your forehead and the space between your eyebrows. Soften your eyelids. Soften your cheeks. Relax your tongue. Allow your chest and your back to relax. Allow your hips to settle and your legs to relax. Maybe the feet turn out. And focus on your breath. Turning back to this time and place, begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Begin to rotate your ankles and your wrists. If you're on your back and you feel like hugging your knees in, feel free. Maybe rocking one side to side. And slowly turn to your side. Taking a few deep breaths here. And slowly making your way up to seated. Bringing your hands, palms together, heart center. Closing your eyes. And take a moment to thank yourself for giving yourself this time to focus on your body, your energy, your mind. And I'm taking a moment of gratitude for the practice of yoga and its teachings and my teachers. And I want to thank you. Thank you so much for your practice